and YouTube channel. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. Don't forget to rate and review on your favorite podcast platform. And I know it's been a couple of weeks. Okay, we'll say a couple of weeks, even though it might have been 3. It's okay. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, because you're always getting content. Even when I say I'm on vacation, you're still getting content. And I know you're tired of hearing that because some of you like to take me on the go and just listen to me, or you like the different energy that we give you here on the podcast, especially when we talk about my personal stuff. And when I say personal, you ain't getting all the tea. We'll save that for another time. So let's talk about why exactly I made a last minute trip out of town and where I might be going next. So we had a week. And look, I've said this countless times. I'm going to say it again. I always have to remind myself because I've been working in the corporate world for a very long time. I also come from a very strict Jamaican background. So a lot of what I grew up with still influences me, still is in back of my head in regards to, well, your life should be a certain way. You should be working. You should be working hard. You should be, taking vacations at a certain period of time. No, I am my own boss. I've chose this new life. I said I retired. I retired from working for someone else. So it's very important for me to make sure that I'm taking time for myself, that I'm resting, that I am, if I don't feel like doing a video, if I don't feel like going live, if I don't feel like doing anything, I have the power right now in my life to do that. So I decided at the last minute, just because I always tell you, when the universe is sending you little nudges and pinches and pebbles, before it becomes a brick upside your head, take those nudges and take a break. And something told me, go visit your friend. Go visit your friend outside of New York. Get out of New York. So I escaped New York and went down to my friend in Tennessee. Yes, I went back to Tennessee, not because there was anything happening. The last time I went, it was for a wedding and all this other stuff. Well, this time I went down just to hang out with my friends, hang out and eat. I love to eat, love good food, and chill. Really just chill and not be on someone's deadline. And yes, I still need to learn how to really check out and not put out any content. But I'll save that for when I'm going to Africa and I don't want to do a video unless something pressing happens. I'm always going to bring my laptop and all my equipment. Just saying, it's the Jamaican in me. It's just who I am as a tourist. Maybe. And I hope you guys, speaking of astrology, I hope you guys enjoyed our interview with Nicole Reiki Healing. Reminder, guys, because I know some of you started following her on social media and then you started getting DMs from fake accounts. Please refer to the link that we posted. There's only one account that she has, but there's so many spams out there. Speaking of which, there are spams here on YouTube. I'm not the only creator experiencing this. And it's not just people that do what I do in regards to celebrity news. It's everyone on YouTube that creates content has fake accounts that are going in the comment section and pretending to be us. I will never reach out to you unless I announce on YouTube or on my podcast that I'm having a contest or something. No, I will always make that announcement. And I am verified here on YouTube. We are working on the other platforms because they try to make it seem like it's an elite club. No, I'm trying to verify for our community knows that I'm not faking anything, especially on TikTok. TikTok, really? The amount of people that pretend to be me on TikTok, reposting my videos. Look, it is what it is. The more I put myself out there, the more that's going to happen. Hopefully, these platforms do a better job at protecting our content because it's still our original content. And they're not citing their sources like I do. But anyway, so I made an escape out of New York because, first of all, a lot of my friends that used to live here in New York have moved or we're no longer friends. You outgrow people and that's okay. If I saw them now, it'd be like, hey, how you doing? Everything good? But you sometimes outgrow friendship. So a lot of my friends have either left New York City, we're no longer friends, or we're just not in each other's lives. You just outgrow people. So one of my dear friends moved, got married, and moved. Only she's not the only one. A few of my friends have moved, got married, and left New York City. But there was a mass exodus before the pandemic, but even during the pandemic, a lot of people have left New York City. Rightfully so. If you look at the prices of apartments, rents, and all that in New York City, it's extremely expensive. But here's the thing. I still love my city, and don't nobody talk ish about my city. I will work my butt off so I can afford to stay in New York City if that's what I need to do. I love New York. I'm never going to leave. I will always have property here in New York City. I will always have roots here in New York City. This is my city. But every once in a while, I need to escape it. I needed to escape it. Did I come back feeling refreshed? No, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't necessarily come back feeling refreshed, but I came back with a sense of, okay, I need to prioritize myself above anything. I did not quit my corporate job to be a slave to content, to be a slave to another platform, to be a slave to a job. I'm creating this because I want this to be fun. And the minute it no longer is fun, I will pivot and go somewhere else. And I'm always pivoting. I'm always plotting and planning. I used to say to myself, you never really set goals. You just sort of like do things. No, in my head, I am setting goals. When I'm talking about manifesting what I want to do next, when I start experimenting and setting up a situation for something X, that is setting goals. I just don't do it the same way. I don't write it down and say, by this time I need to. And I think sometimes when we put by this time, sometimes that can, lead to, disappointment. But there are goals. As you know, we want 1 million subscribers on the Kempire Daily YouTube channel. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers on the Kempire Radio YouTube channel. If you're watching, subscribe. If you're not and you're listening, go to YouTube, subscribe. So this escape did remind me, prioritize doing what you love, and that is traveling. So when I did Kempire Radio, for those that are new to my platforms, when I did Kempire Radio, I did this years ago. I interviewed Oprah over 10 years ago at this point, and we were already doing Kempire Radio for a couple of years at that point. When I took a break from Kempire Radio, I was traveling. That's when I said, I'm going to travel. There are so many places in the world that I want to see. And yes, I've been to Amsterdam 4 times. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I have friends there too, and I love them. So I wanted to be in Amsterdam, and I have a connection to Amsterdam. Don't be surprised if I end up living in Amsterdam for a year or two. Just saying, I would love that. You never know. Now I'm talking about it, I'm like, that sounds about right. Especially because then I could travel a lot of Europe for cheap. So the trip, I also booked my next trip. So one of the things that I loved doing before the pandemic was traveling during the holidays and things like that. So I decided I am going to be traveling again. I'm going to be traveling Europe again. And this time, Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm excited. I've been wanting to go there for a very long time. I thought originally it was going to be London. I was looking at London trips and things like that. And I said, maybe. And then I was just comparing. And I really was thinking about going to London in, this month, before everything happened. I'm kind of glad that I didn't because the Queen passed away. A lot of things, changed in London because of, this transition, from Queen Elizabeth to King Charles. And here's the thing. I get it. People have a strong reaction to Queen Elizabeth, rightfully so, because of the UK's long history of colonialism. So I get people's very strong opinions. But here's the thing, and I've said this before on my platform, just because you have your strong opinion, don't denounce someone else's opinion. You don't have to hate on someone. Some of you people, not you guys, but some people that leave comments in faceless profiles. And I know you hear people talk about this all the time, but to me, it's got to be such a sad life that you come online to leave the most hateful comments. You do realize you're not hurting myself or anyone else that you're leaving these comments under. You're only hurting yourself. The more venom that you put out into the world is what you're going to receive in return. So your life, your sad life, because you cannot be a happy person leaving the level of venom on people's pages. You know what I mean? And sometimes, and I try to engage in comments because so many of our community are leaving such heartfelt, great comments. So I want to engage with the comment section. But when I go behind the scenes on my YouTube studio, and for those that think that I delete your comments, no. Sometimes it's a filter that YouTube has, and they will be held. So if I don't go physically behind the scenes and look and approve them, then, and that's another job in itself. I literally could have someone just handle YouTube comments and those comments that I miss. And if you post a link, or if you accidentally put two words too close to a period and it becomes a link so it won't post, or if you put a hashtag, it will. So for those of you that think I delete the comments, I really don't. I really don't. Our mods will delete comments that are horrendous. We love when you guys share your opinions, even if you don't agree with me. And that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not going to be hurt if you don't agree with me. But some people will just come to be like, I'm like, okay, there's a way to say you disagree without being hateful and nasty. Because like I've said before, the energy that you put in trying to make me feel bad, you're making yourself feel bad, and you are allowing that energy to surround your life and engulf your life. Take a look at your life when you share that sort of venom on social media. How's that working for you? Anyways, I've digressed. So when I made this trip to Tennessee, I already said to myself, I told my friend, I was like, when I come down there, I am booking my next trip. And that's exactly what I did. So for those of you that have been to Copenhagen, for those of you that live in Denmark, please let me know all kinds of really great tips. I really want to hear all the places I need to go, see, and do. And if there's any nearby cities that I should visit while I'm there. And here's the thing. Don't be surprised if I extend my trip. Again, the life that I've chosen for this next chapter, I can do that. I don't have to be like, oh, I got to get back. I got to make sure I have coverage. I got to do it. Nope, I don't. And some people hate me because I share that. This is the life that I've created for myself. Doesn't mean that you can't do the same. And my life is not the same that you want to create. You might want to be a doctor or a nurse or work for that's great. We need that. We need more doctors. We need more lawyers. And we need people that aren't even on that level. We need people that are in customer service. We need people that are creating skincare in their home. We need all of you. And even if you don't have aspirations to do something that big, please understand, you came to this world, even if you are just working a 9 to 5. And I say just, but no, even if you're just working a 9 to 5, that's okay too. You're important there. They need you there. Just saying. So that was my escape from New York. And don't be surprised if I do it again. Just saying, I'm already thinking of places in the United States that I want to see. New Orleans. I want to go to California. There are plenty of meetings that I could have when I'm in California. Just saying, I want to go to Toronto. Shout out to everyone in Canada. I was looking at our stats when I was live on TikTok, and we were looking at the stats. We were like, California is my #1 state that views the videos on the Kempire Daily YouTube channel. Who knew? I thought it'd be New York, my own city. Oh, well, whatever. Guys, that's enough about me. Let's talk about some celebrities. Okay, I'm not talking about Wendy Williams this week, but what I do want to talk about is the Jennifer Hudson show. I want to talk about the Sherry Shepard show. Shout out to Layla Lynn. I know she did a video talking about the ratings this week for their premiere week, and they did pretty well in comparison to the time slots from the previous season for the other shows, which is a good indication because remember, Sherry Shepard hosted the Wendy Williams show last season. So basically she's matching what she had that time, which is not bad. It's not bad. And I've watched the Sherry Shepard show a little bit more chapter and verse than I did the Jennifer Hudson show. I've only seen quite a few of the interviews that Jennifer Hudson has done on the show. Keep in mind, Jennifer Hudson took over the time slot for the Ellen DeGeneres show, and she also has quite a few of their staffers. Hopefully not the problematic ones. Just saying. Okay. And the same for Sherri Shepard. She took over the Wendy Williams time slot and studio. So it's so interesting. You know what I mean? I would have wanted Ellen DeGeneres' studio because it's so much bigger than the Wendy Williams studio. So much bigger. It's like, whoa. Anyways. But you do see hints of the Wendy Williams show. But I'm happy for both of these Black women back to back on Fox doing the damn thing. Congratulations to both of them. The ratings so far are doing well for them. I haven't watched the Karama show yet. I did enjoy seeing Karama's hot takes on the Housewives on Watch What Happens Live. I did not enjoy the weird flirtation between Andy Cohen and Karamo, and then Karamo touching Andy Cohen's crotch during the show. I cringe, and I'm not a prude. I know some people are like, you're a prude. I'm not a prude. I'm a Taurus. Okay, we're passionate. Okay, we are passionate. But congratulations to all of them. Black people are doing it in daytime. We went from having two Black people on daytime. Well, no, you think about The Real. We had a few Black people there and women of color. But now, look, we got Karamo. I heard Karamo was very much like Maury Povich. He's taking a different spin, which I appreciate that. Not everyone can do celebrities and hot topics. You know, go back to the original formula of daytime that made daytime successful. They wanted to talk about real people with real problems. And he seems to know what he's talking about. I don't know if he has a degree in it, but he seems to know what he's talking about. I have to watch it. I have to watch it. I want to support Karamo. Okay. Speaking of support, guys, don't forget to share this video, like this video, rate and review this podcast, just because it does matter. It is important. It is important. All right. Since we moved on from that, let's talk about what's been going on in the news this week, in the last couple of weeks. First of all, while I was away, Ricky Martin is suing his nephew, and now the nephew is bringing up allegations again. At this point, nephew, you have no credibility, but I think there might be a mental health situation going on. I don't think this is what Ricky Martin has accused the nephew of, but now Ricky Martin's suing the nephew for, I think, like $20 million. We know he doesn't have it, but Ricky and his team probably believes this will shut him up. That's sad. It's a sad situation, and I feel for Ricky Martin. Oh, and I feel for the people of Puerto Rico who are dealing with power outages and Hurricane Fiona. Sending our love to Puerto Rico. They've dealt with so much in the last few years. Hopefully, with this administration that we have now, they'll receive more support than they did for Hurricane Maria. So shout out to Puerto Rico. Moving on from there, Adam Levine. Adam Levine, the hashtag expose Adam Levine is trending because a woman came out by the name of Sumner Stroh and accused Adam of having an affair with her for about a year. And she says it was a physical affair. Well, Adam released a statement denying the affair and said that maybe I crossed the line. Well, since then, many women have stitched Sumner's video and says apparently he was in my DMs as well. And at one point, Adam Levine's yoga instructor accused him of sending her a text message saying, maybe we can be naked all day together. I'm not surprised at this. I believe more and more women will probably be coming out. At this point, the only person that can confirm, it's saying there was a physical relationship was Sumner. But the biggest part of that story for me had nothing to do with him flirting with her or cheating with her. It was the DM that he sent. Well, if we have a boy, I was thinking of naming the boy Sumner. Dead serious. Really? Like, if you look at some of the messages that he sent, you're like, Adam Levine, I hate using the word narcissist because I feel like that word is so overused. But his behavior is so egotistical. It's so like you have no self-awareness. You're using your verified account to flirt with these women, probably on purpose. So he's probably used to groupies and women falling at his feet. Look, he can sing his face off. He's hugely famous. He has great songs, and he's not a bad looking guy. But he's married and his wife, Bahati, is pregnant with their third child. We're going to continue to follow this story if more comes out, but at this point, he's denying it. But Sumner's like, nope, we had a physical relationship for about a year. At one point in their exchange, he says, you're 50 times hotter in person. So my thing is like, you can't deny that. Yeah, you crossed the line, but you met her in person. So you met her in person and nothing happened? Adam, are we supposed to believe that? But after he says, you're 50 times hotter in person, and then says, so am I, ha 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 ha. She took too long to respond to it's you're 50 times hotter. And he was probably like, but so am I, right? Right? You are hot, Adam. 43 needs a little moisturization, though. It needs a little bit more moisture. Because I'm like, that's 43? We're in this, like, I'm not 43, but we're in the same age bracket. I would have thought he was older. If you told me he was 50, I'm like, he looks good for 50. I'm so shady, but it is what it is. Let's talk about shady. Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears. So while I was away, this story came out. But apparently this has been an ongoing negotiation situation between Tiffany Haddish and Jane Doe and John Doe in this lawsuit, accusing Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears of damning things in regards to working with children and very weird comedy skits about being a pedo. I'm abbreviating it because this will eventually be on YouTube. So that lawsuit went from them sealing the case, moving it from state to federal. And at one point, both Aries and Tiffany were calling this a shakedown. And look, people have said this too. Like, no, the family had just been friends with her. I know some people were saying, yeah, she was just the mom was just hanging out with Tiffany back in 2020. They're just trying to get money out of Tiffany. That might be true. But I saw the video. Well, I saw a couple of clips from this, quote, comedy skits. They were disturbing. They weren't funny. And I saw some of the comments saying, well, if you take a different perspective on it, they were teaching you about the problems that have. You guys will create a think piece out of anything. Those were supposed to be comedy skits. Allegedly, Tiffany Haddish told the mom that she was taking the kids on auditions, or someone said that she was taking them to Nickelodeon. But no, she was taking them to this particular video shoot. And I know a lot of you said that now you're going to be looking at Tiffany Haddish, but you've already been looking at Aries Spears with a side eye. Because now this lawsuit has been dismissed with prejudice, which we've learned. Shout out to B. Scott, but also shout out to, the people that talk about these legal matters, because we were talking about this on B. Scott's show. If you missed it, I was on B. Scott's podcast, The B. Scott Show, a couple of weeks ago. So be sure to check that out. I was there with DJ Richie Sky in Denver. So this was dismissed with prejudice. I reported on them sealing the case, and then the same day I did that report, we found out that the case had been dismissed, and Tiffany's former friend, the accuser, Jane Doe, in this lawsuit, basically released a statement and says, I don't believe that Tiffany meant us any harm. Obviously, there was a settlement, because that is the normal behavior of a settlement. When we say this was dismissed with prejudice, meaning that she cannot file this again. This means that Jane Doe, who's still underage, so that this says to us, this didn't happen that long ago. He's still underage. He was 7 years old at the time of this video. So even he can't refile this, from what I know. So not sure. We don't have any details on a settlement or how much that settlement may have been. But like I said, no matter if you think this is a shakedown and the family was using Tiffany and blah, blah, blah. We still saw the video. We saw the video. The video was weird. The video was inappropriate. So shakedown or not, you guys were disgusting to be even a part of this. And then to involve your friends' children in it. It's one thing if you do it yourself, but to involve children and then your family, friends' children? Okay. Well, Tiffany has a lot of things coming up. I'm sure this was one of the ways they just wanted to get this out of the press. Will we move on? I mean, I'm always going to remember it at this point because, like I said, if I didn't see the video, it'd be one thing, but I actually saw clips from this on Twitter. All right, we'll move on from that. Before we move on, Tim Norman. There's a lot that's happened since the last time we were together. Tim Norman from owns Welcome to Sweetie Pies has been convicted in the federal murder for hire trial in regards to his own nephew, Andre Montgomery. Shout out to Layla Lynn and Chronicle Speaks, who have been following and reporting on this story for weeks now. The trial is over, and now the family has spoken out, and they're also making accusations about Robbie Montgomery and her not believing Andre. And when Andre reached out to her, she was just, I mean, I will cite my sources in the description, or you can head on over to Chronicle Speaks YouTube channel. You can see some of what the sister was saying after the charges where he was convicted. I just can't fathom it. Look, we know family has issues, but to plot and plan your nephew's murder for insurance money, and some people have said that the next one was going to be Robbie Montgomery. And Andre has been proven not to be the one that broke into Robbie Montgomery's home. People are saying that it was Tim Norman. I don't know. That to me, that is the scariest thing. And thank goodness he is under the jail right now, because if he was still among us, who knows who would have been next. Let's talk about some reality TV. So where do we begin when it comes to the Real Housewives? So a lot has been happening on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. We're about to be done. Coming this Sunday will be the final episode for the season 14. Kandi has confirmed that she has already signed on the dotted line. I mean, I'm saying that, but she's confirmed that she's returning for season 15 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, making her the longest running housewife on this franchise. Good for her. A lot of people like to hate on Kandi and say that Kandi's boring, and I'm not going to deny it. Kandi doesn't bring a lot to this show, but you always need that balance of a personality. And I have to say, Cynthia gave us that, but now we don't have Cynthia. And all of you are ready for Sonia Richards-Ross to be off the show. According to multiple reports and Oliver Anthony on Twitter, all the ladies have received a contract to return. But remember, a contract to return doesn't confirm that they will be a full-time housewife. What Bravo doesn't want to happen, though, is what's happening with Roni. So Roni, the tea that came out these last couple of weeks, was that the reboot has been in shambles. According to Bravo and Cocktails, they're saying that, according to their tip, was that 3 of the ladies that were confirmed for the Roni reboot have dropped out. So now Andy Cohen is like, what in the hell? And apparently they must love Luann and Sonia Rita's spinoff, because it's like, where did we go wrong? Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So no word on what's happening with Roni, but we do know that the Roni production company is looking for a new field producer that can deal with, quote, difficult talent. So I don't believe in Atlanta that they're going to stir away from, doing a whole new cast or rebooting the entire cast or getting rid of like 3 housewives. I don't see that. I honestly don't, because they're afraid. First of all, it was hard enough. It was hard enough for them to secure this cast for this season. That's the only reason why Marlo got a peach. That's the only reason why Sheree was able to come back. That's the only reason why Drew Sidora was able to come back. They were having issues finding housewives, allegedly. So I don't see them doing that. If anything, I do see them adding at least 2 or more additional housewives. And according to multiple reports, Portia Williams is in the mix. And I know there was a report out, she's going to make $5 million. No, they're not going to pay Portia Williams $5 million. I'm sorry. I get it. I definitely she's going to make well over $1 million, maybe even $2 million. But she won't be the highest paid on the cast. That will remain Kandi. And I know what people are thinking. Why is Kandi coming back? Kandi's coming back, and she don't offer anything. You know what she does offer? Professionalism, consistency, And she continuously brings show ideas to them. This SWV and Escape show is coming very soon. This will be her umpteenth, spin-off show that she's had. And a lot of people want to say, oh, they're always giving her things. No, fools. Not you guys. She takes the opportunity. She's professional. She reaches out to them. Let's have a meeting. I have a show idea. And they're like, okay, let's hear the show idea. And she said countless times, they're going to think I'm paid by Kandi. No, I'm not. This is just my opinion and understanding business. They take the meeting. She says more times than not, they've said no to her show ideas. And some of these housewives that you know and love feel like Bravo should be coming to them. They don't have that level of professionalism. They don't have that business acumen. They don't. So, and you can tell, look at the businesses that these housewives have now versus what Kandi has now. Let's just say, congratulations, Kandi, on the piano lesson. If I have time, I'm going to definitely go try and see it because I missed her other production. Okay. Speaking of Kandi, so Kandi held a day of press for YouTube creators that recapped the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So she dropped by the house of Aaron, and Aaron asked her a question about her beef with Carlos King, if there was any beef. And she confirmed there is beef.
So first of all, the main reason, my main issue with Carlos is he is the one who stole my group's life story and sold it to TV1. And for that, I just can't get past it. He had been working with us that entire season on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. That last year he was with us. Him and Todd had already had some like little issues, business issues, because they were doing a production company together. So they already had some things they had dealt with personally. But, we was trying to move past that and still work together on the show because he was executive producing. What season was that? 9 or whatever?
Yes.
And he was his last year. Okay. So let's say the season wrapped in November. In December, someone tells me, I was talking to a friend. I was like, hey, we should do like a movie about, our group's life or whatever. And they were like, it was a director that Todd and I were speaking. And they was like, somebody's already doing it. And I was like, what you mean somebody's doing it? And so in my mind, I'm thinking it was one of my group members or something. And they was like, yeah, it's a network that's already like, because I took a meeting about directing it. And I was like, what? Now, mind you, just wrapped season 9. The season in like either top of December or November, end of November right there. December, I'm hearing that this movie has been sold to a network. So I come to find out a couple weeks later, I'm trying to find out what is going on, and come to find out it was, in sidebar, his other producing partner, one of the producers that worked for him, who was also at the time I thought was super cool, had called my mom, was like, oh yeah, we want to do interview you because we're trying to do a documentary about girl groups or something. So we want to ask you questions about, Escape. My mom was going to do it or whatever, but come to find out, he was the person who had did the deal with TV1 to sell our life story. He was, and my mom and it was going to try to ask my mother questions about us unknowingly to get more information, I guess, for the show. So anyway, I just thought that was the lowest thing that anybody could ever do.
Wait, but how did he have the rights to y'all's story?
He didn't have the rights to our story. What I found out, because of course, I was calling lawyers and everything. And I found out at the time that when you're a public figure, people can do
unauthorized.
They can do unauthorized stories about you. Right. And at the time we had already done behind the music type of thing on TV1 or whatever. Okay. No, TV1. Remember, Unsung. How they Unsung, yeah. So, they had certain information that I guess they could base the movie off of. But my thing was, I was like, never once, all them years we have been around each other, he had never once told me that he was trying to do a movie about us, and to be able and to go behind my back and to do that. And that's our life story.
Right.
I was like, I can't fuck with him ever again.
Wow.
I did not want to. I did reach out to him at first. He didn't answer the phone because I had just heard it. So I wasn't sure that it was him. So I was calling him and be like, yo, like, what is this? He didn't answer my calls. But then when we had did some things to start like reaching out to the network to try to get the whole situation shut down. Then all of a sudden he reaches out to me, and I didn't want to talk after that. I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't ever have to talk to you again. And that's just how I feel. I'm like, that is the lowest of the low. Our first, what was that? First spinoff was the wedding or one of them. I think our spinoff was the first show that he was executive producer for. Mm-hmm. I literally fought for him to be executive producer of my show, to be the lead executive producer. Right. So for you to have somebody that you went out for and I always respected him as a producer, to do that to me, I was like, I have no respect for him. Oh. And so for him to now, every time he turn around, he got something to say about me. I'm like, I just give him no energy. But that right there, my life story, that shit gets me emotional and it pisses me off. So yeah, I don't have nothing for him.
And I don't blame her. Carlos King has not. He's responded to everything else. He'll be in the comment section of the blogs, and he has not responded to this. He did repost what someone else says. When you come to the level of success, people will come for you. I'm paraphrasing completely. It's not exactly what they said. But basically, he has no response for this. And the silence is deafening. The silence is deafening. And he's talked about this on DJ Richie Sky's YouTube channel when he interviewed him recently about, do they have beef? And he's like, oh, no, we don't have beef. Okay, Carlos, but apparently you do. So now here's the thing. As I'm re-listening to this interview, now I'm thinking, no, Carlos probably didn't come back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta after season 9 because of this drama, not because he was a part of the plot that Phaedra brought up. Because even Kandi says in this interview that she doesn't believe that he was behind that plot. But I could also see Kandi saying, I don't want to work with this man, and him losing his job because of that. I just had that thought. I was re-listening to it. It's not uncommon for producers to be still in part of production if they don't get along with the housewife. I've heard that before. So he could have stayed on, but now I'm starting to see there's more to what went down, why Carlos King decided not to return. And it's not because it was his choice, allegedly. I just find it so interesting. Carlos, I'm looking at it. Look, I get it. As a producer, you got to do certain things. Here's the thing, and we also understand the business. This is not about business. You literally work with Kandi. I'm sure Kandi would have, if you went to Kandi, you were like, Kandi, I have this idea. I would love for us to do this together. But maybe because of how things went so sour with Todd, even though they were still able to work together for season 9, maybe he knew that they wouldn't be okay with it. Or maybe he's just underhanded like people have alleged about him for years. And I never really believed those things. But to hear this story, you can call Kandi boring. You can call Kandi a lot of things. But one thing you can't call Kandi is a liar. Apparently, we can call Carlos King that, though. Well, Kandi's returning for another season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta based off of this current season. This is not a season that I would go back and watch. It wasn't my favorite season. I don't feel the sisterhood that they were talking about that developed this season. I didn't get that. I don't know what they're going to do for next season, but if they do bring Portia back, I feel like that might be a way to make people a little bit more interested. And it's not just because of Portia. It's because of what's happened since Portia decided to leave and not be accountable for all the mess that she had right before season 14. And a lot of you are wondering if Kenya and Portia will be in a better place. You know, Portia's name has been brought up a couple of times during the season. No, I'm trusting that Kenya will call Portia out. What about Fallon? I know a lot of people were, and I'm sure Portia probably also thought it, if she came back in season 14, that Fallon, who's still, from what I heard, is friendly with Kenya, would have showed up and she would have been uncomfortable. But I wonder if they will completely ignore the situation, because how are you going to have Simon Gobadia on this show and not talk about the last time he was on this show with another woman? You know, shady producers are going to show it. And I know when we say this, so many people are like, yeah, the producers, if they have the footage, they're going to show it. They decide what they will show, which for me is a perfect segue into the story for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, a lot of people, I just reported and did a whole story on the Kempire Daily YouTube channel talking about an allegation from Your Moms Are Watching on Instagram that Kathy Hilton and her team are down Bravo's neck to ensure that this show is edited correctly. And I find it so interesting. And look, I get it. Everyone has a right to their opinion, but I understand. You know, guys, you can still not like Lisa Rinna and Erika Jayne and still believe that Kathy Hilton might be controlling editing. She wouldn't be the first and she won't be the last housewife or person on the show. And we have to remember, Bravo, Andy Cohen, they've wanted to have Kathy Hilton on the show for years. And I don't care how much money Kathy Hilton has, and I don't care how much money or more money NBC Universal has than Kathy Hilton. It's not about money. It's about having a connection to a particular famous person on your show. They're more concerned about that. They don't care about, oh, she's the richest person in the world, or we have way more money than she does. She can't control. No, they want to continue to have her on the show. They liked everyone's reaction to Kathy Hilton last season. But I see the Bravo universe, and this is why I check out. I report on what I want to report on. I recap shows that I want to recap on. I don't get as invested as some of you because I remember, and I'd like to remind my audience that you're getting passionate about a show that's edited for a narrative the way that they want to spin it. And I'm watching very closely because I've already pointed out editing situations from the previous week's episode where we're like, something's off here. Why don't we see her actually speaking? Why don't we see the front of her face when we see this? And we saw this last season. Remember when they were walking away, Erika Jayne Garcelle and Crystal, they were walking away and we don't see their mouths, but we hear audio. And then we find out that that was an edited situation. That's not when it happened. So when we get so passionate about people that we don't know and about a series that's edited to, and editing does matter. You know, for many years, people were like, oh, don't blame editing. No, editing can change a whole situation. It really can. So look, I've reported, I did a whole separate video talking about Kathy Hilton and her family's history of racism and homophobia. Okay, their own slurs that have come out. That's on video. And yes, I know Lisa Rinna and Harry Hamlin's history. I did a video on that too. But just because you might not like Lisa Rinna or Erika Jayne doesn't mean that this story that Kathy Hilton is behind the scenes trying to spin this narrative about this homophobic slur or racist slur. Just saying. All of this can be true. Lisa Rinna and the Fox Force flunkies can be terrible human beings and they could be spinning this, but I just don't see what Kathy Hilton has a meltdown because Kyle didn't want to do the conga line. When I pointed out in that way to you guys, do you see how ridiculous that sounds? Kathy Hilton has a meltdown about them not wanting to do a conga line. You might say, well, she had a meltdown about them in the tequila that she's an investor in. Shout out to Eva Longoria. Shout out to all of you that keep me informed, because before it became a thing online, people were like, oh, it's Eva Longoria's. Lisa Rinna recently was like, oh, you own this. Yes, Kathy Hilton only said she was an investor, idiot. She acts so stupid sometimes. I can't. Yeah, Eva Longoria, a woman of color, is the owner of this tequila. I don't drink, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm just happy for Eva Longoria. Eva Longoria has made some smart business moves over the years. Like, she went from Desperate Housewives to being a director behind the scenes, producing, and all these other things. And she's incredibly smart. So shout out to Eva Longoria. If you like tequila, go try hers. Don't try 818. That's Kylie Jenner's. What does she know about tequila? Anyways, I don't know. Whatever. So the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I don't know. A lot of people are saying after watching everything this season, it wasn't a great season. I'm not going to say it wasn't a great season because we got to see Sutton go up against the Fox Force Flunkies, and really hold her own. We get to see a real friendship between Garcelle and Sutton. I like seeing real friendships develop from this show. Crystal, these last couple of episodes, she's been good, but this season overall, she hasn't. I still have hope for Crystal. I don't know, though. If they do lose Lisa Rinna, because all signs are pointing that Lisa Rinna won't be returning. She's calling herself the LeBron James of Housewives. You are far from it. She's not going to be at BravoCon during the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills panel. So people are like, what's happening here? It just might be Lisa Rinna trying to use this as a negotiation tactic. But keep in mind, early in the season, we had a couple of episodes that were Rinna-less, and we did not miss her. But I've said countless times, she wouldn't be the first person that I feel that needs to go. I think Diana Jenkins could go way before her. Word on the street, she's not returning, and she's barely at the reunion because she had allegedly COVID. And Erika Jayne. Yes, I know we report on these Erika Jayne lawsuits and things like that, but Erika has brought nothing to the show. And she hasn't brought anything up until recently. But once you're in with the Fox Source Funkies, they will protect you and keep you on the show. And Crystal hasn't brought a lot at all. But I kind of like Crystal's even-keeledness. I think she might be good. I think she might need a third season to really get in there. But I know what you were all thinking. Well, don't forget the little problematic things that she said to Garcelle. She never had Garcelle and Sutton's back. Why should, I've said countless times in that moment when she was trying to step up to Erika, I wish Sutton and Garcelle had her back. But I get it. She never had their back. But I don't think Lisa Rinna would be the first one I would say go. But if Lisa Rinna was to go, I wouldn't miss her. I wouldn't. And no matter how I feel about Nene and how Nene might be behind the scenes, I still would rather Nene come back. I miss Nene. Nene has just a unique, funny thing to her. What made Nene less fun was the fact that Nene she was smelling herself. Like her ego just got too big and she became less fun to watch. But I think Nene has been humbled, and I don't believe, based off of everything that's transpired in the last few weeks and my conversation with B. Scott, that Nene didn't get a settlement. And she might be the one trying to spread the narrative that she did. I think Nene maybe has had her humble pie. Maybe. I hope so. But I definitely don't see Bravo or NBC Universal employing her again, especially now that they've dismissed this lawsuit without prejudice, sorry. So that means she can refile the lawsuit. This is a situation. But the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and the Real Housewives of Potomac are coming back very soon. Salt Lake City is coming back in less than a week, and Potomac is coming back in October. My collaboration with Layla Lynn and Grace Report will be happening on each of our channels. Every single week, we'll be switching from channel to channel at Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to subscribe to all of our channels, and I will see you then for that. They're already starting to do interviews talking about this stuff. I'm not loving where these other conversations about colorism with Wendy and Kandis are going. I want to see how that scene with Mia and Wendy goes, but let's not take this to a whole other level, y'all, because you will ruin this franchise. I'm just saying, let's not. And I see what people are saying. I believe colorism does happen, of course, but colorism has a huge history of trying to separate us as a people. So let's not do that, especially with this show of entertainment. But I can't tell them not to talk about their experience. So I'm willing to see how this plays out. And like I said before, I'm recapping the show. I'm not getting involved with this Bravo universe. It just continues. The Bravo universe, and if this is not you, I'm not talking about you. Not everyone in the Bravo universe. I'm using a general statement. But the Bravo universe, it's sometimes way more, not even sometimes, I feel like they are more toxic than the Fox Force flunkies. They love to say, oh, they're Fox flunky. They're the toxic ones. Based on the comment section where I see what you people post on Twitter, y'all might be a lot more toxic than these housewives that you love and adore. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the Kempire Radio podcast. I promise I am trying every single week to make time to do this. And maybe once I'm able to build on my team when it comes to handling everything else, I will be able to devote more time to the podcast. Because I love the podcast. The podcast is my first love when it comes to talking about celebrities. This is how we did it. We did it here on the Kempire Radio podcast. So be sure to check out some of the past episodes if you're just getting into the podcast, and subscribe to the Kempire Radio YouTube channel, where you can check out my interviews with people like Brandy, Music Soul Child, Brian McKnight, some really famous singer and songwriters, and be sure to check out my interview with Oprah Winfrey. Guys, I hope you're having a fantastic week, a fantastic summer. Summer is officially almost over. So happy fall. I'm burning a pumpkin spice candle as we speak. And I'm about to take all my pumpkins and all my fall decor out. I will see you guys in the next podcast, the next video. Be well.